February 22nd, 2023, the first day of Adar. We have a phenomenal event that's taking place here in the United States, affecting many, many states with this one. First, we have another major winter storm, which is affecting Minnesota and many, many more places than just that. This is the result of, as we've spoken about before, when these three ingredients come together and they collide, it produces a major winter storm here in the Midwest, which is defined as 6 inches of snow or more. These ingredients are a deep low pressure system, copious amounts of Gulf moisture, along with a solid Arctic air mass on the backside. This storm certainly qualifies for all of that. Copious amounts of moisture, the QPF values for the remainder of the storm in the Minneapolis area, 6 to 9/10 of an inch, which would be about 6 to 9 inches of snow, a little bit more than that. The average snow to water ratio in Minneapolis is 13 to 1. But they've already seen about 3 to, some places in Minnesota got 7 inches over the course of last night. Right now, they're going through a period of light snow, if it's snowing at all. The heavy snow, the real system, comes in later today with strong winds as well. In fact, the winds are expected to be strong enough to reach blizzard criteria. And as a result, the National Weather Service has issued blizzard warnings in effect for much of that area. I wanted to speak about, there's actually 4 additional variables involved in this storm, which is going to intensify the snowfall totals. The first thing is that this is a slower moving storm than usual. So it's really taking place over the course of 3 days. That ups the snow by about 8-9 inches or so. The main storm again comes tonight, but we've already gotten a head start with that. The second thing is something interesting. It's unique to this winter. So a lot of the storms this winter have actually been lacking with the Arctic cold on the backside. We have not actually been getting those 3 ingredients, but we've been pulling off 6-inch snows nonetheless, as we've spoken about. That's through a process called dynamic cooling. This system has a solid Arctic air mass. It's bitterly cold. In addition, this storm also has the very opposite. It has our very first summertime heat wave taking place on the southeast part of the storm, which, the New York Times likes to define a heat wave as 3 consecutive days of 90 degrees or higher. So according to that definition, there's going to be many cities that will be qualifying for a heat wave in Texas, Florida, and there's always that surprise location someplace where no one was expecting it. So we're going to wait to hear where that surprise location was. A couple years ago, it was in Georgia. But the question is, can that surprise location pull off 3 consecutive days? Texas will be doing a good job at that, and same with Florida. We might even see a 100-degree reading in Texas. We also have very warm temperatures going all the way up into the mid-Atlantic area, with temperatures going into the low 80s for Washington, D.C. for tomorrow. That's a one-day warm, it's a one-day warm wave for them. Its highs today only in the 50s. Tomorrow they shoot up into the 80s. The humidity is likely going to be higher in the Gulf Coast states north of the Gulf of Mexico than some of those cities where temperatures are going into the 90s. So when you have a large clash of temperatures like that, it's larger than usual. We usually, in these winter storms, we do not have 90s taking place. And this year, we've had a shortage of the Arctic air. But when you have a clash of temperatures like that, it just adds strength to the storm. Another thing is that we have 3 variables which are coming together in the upper atmosphere all together. And the National Weather Service tells us that it's unusual for all of these three things to come together. 2 of them is not unusual, but for all 3 to come together is a rarity. It does not happen every year in the winter. We do not have time to speak about it right now, but hopefully a little bit later we will be speaking about it. So places in Minneapolis. The other variable we'll talk about is just that the snow to water ratio is about 15 to 20 to 1, on average probably about 18 to 1 instead of 13 to 1. That's going to help boost those snow totals, and those areas can expect, the latest forecasts call for an additional 10 to 15 inches or so on top of whatever has fallen, bringing the total to about 18 to 24 inches. And there's always those locations which have isolated higher amounts. This storm moves off to the New England area, and the upper parts of New York brings an additional 12 to 18 inches in the bullseye over there. It's not quite as intense over there as it is in the upper Midwest in regards to snowfall totals, but you have to look at some other variables to see if that's actually true. What will the actual precipitation amounts be? So we have quite a storm moving to New England. Boston might even get some snow from this, not much, but a little bit, and then we head on into another storm system that moves across the Midwest for next week with once again wintry precipitation. The highlight of this storm over here is something which we haven't even spoken about. It's the severe weather. The severe weather, that's the most dangerous part. That's why it becomes a highlight, which we will not be talking about on this podcast, but it's the classic places that receive the severe weather. Those are the places that you want to watch out. Memphis, Tennessee, Shreveport, Louisiana, and Little Rock, Arkansas. You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. You will now hear a 1-minute trailer. Several additional feet of snow is expected by Monday morning. Yes! We have a powerhouse typhoon which has developed off in the Pacific Ocean. A big shockaroo to many of you. This is especially true in regards to what's going to be going on in Alaska. We have parts of the world that are so hot right now. Temperatures are expected to go into the low 130s. Here we have a special guest on our show. What is your name?
Kitabis.
A heat wave that's going to be headed to the Eilat area. We're going to have to wait before we get into the next excitement. We're going from one extreme to the next extreme. 27.1 barometric pressure. Feet of snow are falling in Japan.
Oh my gosh.
Weather. That's a time of celebration. Just Google Weather with Enthusiasm and they're all going to come up.